Morning. And I'm Brendan Rendo with the Homes Orlando team, joined today by Rob Reich of Vortex. And we're coming to you because something that was old really is kind of new again. And with everything going on with the real estate industry today, with the lawsuits with the realtors in cost of closing, the prices of homes and everything, the one thing that people haven't taken a look at is the cost of title insurance and how that affects the overall purchase of a home today. And that's why I invited Rob on today, because he has enlightened me that we haven't seen an alternative to traditional, what we would call traditional title insurance. And now we actually have something. Rob, thank you so much for joining us today. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your company and the product that it was old, which is now kind of new again?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And by the way, you did everything great except it's called Voxter.
Sorry.
That's okay. You got a lot going on. So thanks for having me. Really enjoy being here. Right. So Voxter is a company. We're a publicly traded company out of Canada, actually, but I'm in Orlando. Not too far from where you are. And so we are bringing innovation to the real estate industry in sum and total. But in terms of what you're talking about, title insurance, I am leading the charge to bring AOLs, attorney opinion letters, back into vogue because we've improved upon it. And as you say, rightfully, we are going to lower the cost significantly to close, where title insurance costs many thousands of dollars. In most cases, this product is not. We'll get into all of those details as we go.
Yep. No, because one thing here in Florida, that I know it varies state to state, but the rates are actually set by the state, correct?
Right. It's called promulgated, meaning that the Department of Insurance sets it, so it's the same from agent to agent and from underwriter to underwriter in Florida. That's all.
Because I know it's always a question you get is, does it have to be that much? Can I negotiate that? And your first question is, nope, sorry, set by the state.
Believe it or not, when I was a young pup and I bought my first home and I wasn't in this business, I was doing something completely different. I asked that same question. Hey, does it have to be this against the law? We negotiate. Nope, we're not doing it. I just said, okay.
Yep.
And moved on and paid it.
Right. Well, why don't we hop into your slides? I've got those pulled up right now for you. Okay.
Yeah.
And let's go through it a little bit and explain the difference and the opportunity to help not only sellers, but buyers in the closing. Because I know here traditionally in Central Florida, the seller pays the title insurance.
Usually.
But in actually some sections like Miami, it's the buyer who pays. I know one of the things everyone's struggling with these days, when you've got a $400,000 house, you got to have a 5% down payment. There's $20,000 there. And then we tell people to estimate anywhere from 3, possibly 5% on top of that as well for your closing costs. You're looking at, possibly, $35,000 to $40,000 out of your pocket to close on the purchase of your home. And that's
right. You've got commissions, you've got appraisals, you've got surveys, you've got a lot to pay for.
So I'm just going to kind of hand it over to you right now. Your slides are up, and let's talk a little bit about what we can do to help people save some money.
Great. Thank you. So why don't we start with just a quick background on title insurance, just for context. So prior to 1868 in this country, there was no title insurance. It was all attorney opinion letters. So as you said in the opening, what was old is now new. Attorney opinion letters used in Europe predating 1868 by a lot of years. When they started keeping land records in Europe, attorneys were the ones that were making sure that title was free, clear, whereas some people said no clouds on title. So in 1868, though, an attorney missed a lien on a transaction in the United States, I think in Philadelphia or in Pennsylvania. And so there was a lawsuit. Now, interestingly enough, the lawsuit was dismissed, so the attorney was not found to be at fault, even though he clearly didn't miss the lien. But out of that dismissed lawsuit came a petition to set up the first ever title insurance underwriter. And that permission was given by the Pennsylvania State Legislature. And they issued, the first policy was issued in 1871, as you can see here, for $150 in today's dollars. It's a lot more. And then the actual first underwriter title insurance company was set up in 1876. So what I want you to take from this is, prior to the left of that red arrow that you see there, it was all attorney opinion letters. Now, when title insurance became a thing, that doesn't mean everybody jumped on board with it, but slowly into the 40s and 50s and 60s of this century, of the 1900s, they became more in vogue. And so towards the latter half of last century, they became very, very popular. And attorney opinion letters didn't disappear, but they were not used prevalently the way they are, what they used to be. So there you go. So along came title insurance, but things have changed since they were first brought to the market. So let's talk about title insurance premiums, traditional title insurance premiums. The average sale price of a home today in Florida is almost $400,000. And so the title insurance premium is based off of that, as you know, and it's a percentage of the price. So the premium for that home is almost $2,000. Every time you transact, you pay almost $2,000, whether that's a refi or a purchase. You're going to pay just about that number. Now, there are some discounts if you come back in a certain amount of time. They're not huge, but they will save you a few $100. So it still remains a substantial fee in clothing. So in 2022, almost 300,000 single-family homes were sold in Florida. And the insurance on those homes, those traditional title insurance, was $2.7 billion with a B dollars. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, we were talking about that yesterday when we were going through things, and it's absolutely amazing. And I think, when you tell people what the commission portion is, they're going to be even more amazed.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the split here in a second. That word, the split, maybe some people may not want to talk about that, but we can. So on average, here we go, only about 25% of the title insurance premium goes to the underwriter to pay for the actual insurance. There's something, as I just said, called the split remnant. And the split, have you asked your title agent yet? The rest of the money, 75% of it, stays with the closing agency, whether it's a law firm or a title agency, as a commission. It does not go to pay for coverage. So one might say, is that overpriced? In my opinion, in some cases, it is. I'm not saying it's always a bad thing, but in some cases, it's a necessity. But that $2.7 billion, there you go. A lot of that wouldn't stay with the closing agency. So little has been done until recently to reduce the cost of buying a home. Enter Fannie Mae. Fannie Mae has said, along with Freddie, that the barrier to homeownership is becoming higher and higher due to costs at closing. So they're on a path, a very strategic path, to lower the cost of John Q. Public and Jane Q. Public to buy a home. How are they doing that? Using attorney opinion letters. Attorney opinion letters are historically much, much cheaper than state set premiums. So you're going to find out here how attorney opinion letters here in just a minute are just a fraction of the cost of traditional title insurance.
This actually just came out in December, which was
not the approval of attorney opinion letters, but the expansion of properties that qualify for attorney opinion letters now include properties. So your homeowners associations or condo associations are now able to be covered by attorney opinion letters.
Yeah. You don't see Fannie Mae come out with a lot of stuff like this at flyers.
Right.
You don't. And to see a flyer all of a sudden that, hey, it's telling you that, hey, they want you to know that there's an alternative. Because when we were looking at it, we were looking at some numbers. I think it's on this flyer that the lower income, medium income people, their percentage of closing costs of the purchase price was, some of them I think was 8%, some low income was nearly 14%. So it again becomes a barrier to home ownership, which is not what Fannie Mae wants to do. Fannie Mae wants to help people get into homes. So they're trying, this shows me they're really trying to find an alternative, help people save on that closing costs.
Absolutely. So you're right. And it really, any home in Florida, if you run the numbers between what our fees are and what the type of insurance premium fees are, we're saving anywhere from 20%, in some cases, maybe almost 80% off the title premium cost.
Mm-hmm.
So it's substantial. And yes, the first-time homeowners, lower income, middle income homeowners would greatly benefit from this. Anybody can, but those numbers are certainly outstanding. In fact, let me share, if I might, before we leave this page, this brochure is on the Fannie Mae website. So if you go and search on the website for Fannie Mae brochure, you'll find that. So we established that we're paying a lot of money for title insurance premiums, most of which that doesn't go to pay the actual cost of insurance. But let's add to that one more thing, that the loss ratio, the number of times that a loss is paid out by the underwriters in September 2022, which is 1 month. I believe that, but the whole year is about the same. It fluctuates a little. But in that 1 month that I looked, it was 2.8%, right? So 97.2% of the time, there was no claim paid. Either the property was free and clear, or somehow the claim is mitigated outside of coverage. So, and that does happen. So the claims ratio are really, really small. And when you compare the claims ratio of title underwriters to, let's say, property and casualty, Allstate, State Farm, that those that insure homes in Florida against hurricanes, I mean, those payout ratios, 40, 50, 60, some years 100%. So they're quite different than what they are in title insurance.
And what we got to remember, because we were kind of going through the numbers, is once you take out the commission, that 2.8% is really off of the amount that's left over. So of this $2.9 billion in Florida, just Florida,
Small number.
Hey, what did we figure? I mean, there's just, it was barely millions of dollars. It just,
Just not to say millions aren't a big deal, but in ratio to what we're talking about, billions, it is.
It's amazing when you start breaking all this stuff down. And as a consumer, you want to know you're protected, but you want to know you're getting the right value for your dollar.
Absolutely. It's funny when I go to, I speak at Quora quite a bit here lately, and the Orlando Realtor Association. And when I ask people, raise your hand if you know what the split is, nobody raises their hand. I thought that's Tom. When I first started representing AOL, I thought it was Tom that everybody knew, but apparently not. It's just not talked about very much. So you've got this situation where title insurance is costly. You've got the commission, and you've got the low payout ratio. One state said not having. So there is a state in the United States that has outlawed title insurance since 1947. In fact, every transaction is covered by the state, and I think they charge around $150, $175. Maybe on more expensive properties a little bit more, but it's very, very cheap. And so, any guesses what that state is, Brendan?
Oh, I know, because I cheated. I looked at the slides.
You saw. I was giving you the chance to be the genius here. So there you go, Iowa. So, and that doesn't affect Florida at all, other than it's their opinion. And I think that opinion is what's out. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying we should have a home in Florida. Please don't think that. But there's some hard questions to be answered right now about lots of things in real estate. As you know, you brought up commission. I'm going to
Yeah.
So what do we have? What are we doing different? The attorney opinion letters until recently have been just that, an opinion issued by an attorney. But if the attorney did make a mistake, did miss something, there would be nothing backing that attorney up the way there is for traditional title insurance. That's why it's called insurance, right? Well, Voxter is pleased to announce the availability now of an insured, fully insured attorney opinion letter. So basically the coverage is the same as traditional title insurance. We're covering the same things, that if you have a claim on a transaction, you get the same benefits. And it's approved, the AOLs in general are approved by, as you've heard say. And so now you're getting the best of all worlds. You're getting a much cheaper product with the same coverage. And by the way, when you see what the coverage is here in a minute, it includes endorsements and lender's policy. So it's owner's policy, lender's policy can be endorsements. So if you don't mind, then I'll just jump to the slide and let's see how expensive it is. So a home between $0 and $300,000, $695 all in. $895 between $3 and $650, and above $650 to $1 million, $995. So how does that compare? Brady, do you remember what we looked at just for fun, what $1 million home costs for traditional title insurance? You remember what that was? It says it right there.
It actually was higher than what's on your slide. It came out to like $5,600.
Yeah, I think with the that doesn't include the lender's policy in that.
Yeah, and the endorsements that are needed.
And endorsements, that's correct. That is absolutely correct. So you see there, we're going to save that person at least $4,000, and all in, as you say, it's a little bit more than that. So it's substantial. I think the title insurance premium roughly for a $500,000 home is roughly half of the $1 million home. So if we take it's not quite $2,500, but let's just take $2,500 on $895. Listen, I don't know about you, but I would trade $895 to $2,500 all day long.
All day long.
Yeah.
All day long. And what people have to realize these days is when you're negotiating, is you're always trying to get to that meeting of the minds. And when you're seller, you're looking at that net sheet. With the buyer, you're looking at that closing cost, estimated closing costs. And there's times, I literally had one we closed last week that we were $271 over what the underwriter wanted us to be at. $271. So what happened is the lender actually had to reduce their commission to make the numbers work out right, because the overall closing costs, it was an FHA, $250,000, but the overall closing costs ended up being close to $5,000, $6,000 plus the down payment. He had, I think it was $10,500, and we came out to $10,721. So every penny counts in these transactions these days. Every penny counts. So if you can show a solution to a seller and a buyer, like, hey, I know you've got this quote here, but if we can help you here, can you help us there? To me, it opens up some opportunities to really help people. And again, get creative in the way you work with everybody to get to that meeting of the minds, because that's our goal is make everybody, happy with the transaction overall.
Absolutely. Yeah, that is an excellent example of being close, but yet so far, right?
Yeah.
And getting the deal done.
We're literally sitting there at 5:30 at night. Thankfully, the lender's in California, so they're there,
right.
And we're sitting there, and we're like, if I tell you other things that happened with this one, you'd laugh. But it's just another one of those things. And you're sitting there and you're like, okay, how do we solve this? How do we resolve this? Because we're at the closing table, we're waiting for the docs, and you're just looking at it. It's like, and then when you look at it, it's like, oh, if we could have done this, we may have been able to, if I was able to show the seller, hey, instead of $2,500, we got a solution to do $895, and maybe you can give my buyer an extra $500 out. We're not in that situation.
Maybe just for a brief moment, point out that you got a flat fee for refi, as you see there, $495. And I got to tell you that realtors have sold a lot of homes. Like maybe not as much as they used to sell a few years ago, but it's coming back. But a lot of homes have been sold at a higher rate. And I know you hate this term, date the rate, Brendan, man. We talked about that yesterday. But call it whatever you want. I think if somebody wants to be a top-notch professional, calling back your clients and saying, hey, you've been in this house for whatever it is, 12, 18 months, even 6 months, you've got this high rate. As rates come down, when it makes sense, you want to refi them, and I can deal with the $495 on the green.
Yeah, a lot of people don't think, and that's quite honestly, that's one thing that's always bothered me with a lot of real estate agents. Oh, just buy now or refinance later. Well, I was a lender. I was a lender for 16 years.
Right.
And I know the cost. And I'm sitting there going, but it's going to cost me $7,000 to refinance.
Right.
And they're like, why? It's like, well, because guess what you have to do every time you refinance? You have to reissue title insurance. Okay. Well, guess what happens is, do you think they give you a discount when you reissue that policy?
A row.
I've seen generous 10%. I don't think in my experience I've had anyone do above 10%. Well, okay, so on that $500,000 loan, I've still got $2,500, $2,600 in costs to pay again. So does it really become efficient and cost effective? Because one of the things they always taught us as a lender is, okay, figure out how many months it's going to cost you to pay back your closing costs.
Right.
Well, I've just taken literally years off of that time to pay back my closing costs.
That's right.
Because if say you're refinancing, you're saving $300 a month, but I've got $3,000 in title insurance, 10 months. It's literally almost a year. I save a year of paying myself back for that refinance.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. So let me, one more comment here. You see, it says 1 million at the moment. Our insurance carriers are limiting us to up to $1 million property. That's not $1 million of financing, $1 million of transaction. That will go up. It'll be expanded here in the near future. I'm hoping for this year. We'll see. They just want some more, because this is new, they want some more experience with us. But we're good all the way up to $1 million, which, as you and I discussed yesterday, Brendan, it's most of the transactions that are going on. There are certainly those that are above $1 million, but the bulk of the transactions are $1 million. Okay, so just real quick, a couple of FAQs here. Can you use AOL purchase and finance? Of course you can. Does it protect against fraud? Yes, our insurance has the same protections as closing protection letters, and that's the insurance that we provide with the AOL. Are they regulated? Yes, by the state bar. So we're only using licensed real estate attorneys, and we actually only use those real estate attorneys with experience. And so you're getting a top-notch review of the property, and regulated by the Florida. And is the gap coverage between the time that you place the contract and the time you close? The answer is absolutely yes. Are liens covered? Yes, of course they are. That's the whole point, right? So we do cover the liens. How's the claim process different? Well, I personally don't have any first-hand experience with title underwriting, but we've all got experience with auto claims and homeownership claims and other property casualty claims. And those typically, almost always go through very quickly. If you get in an accident, you call State Farm, and they're out there with a check with the adjuster pretty quickly. And that's what you should expect to see here. Companies that are used to paying, these property and casualty companies used to paying their claims, get to the bottom of the claim really quickly and do the right thing. And does AOL cost less than title insurance? I think we So what is really the only hurdle we have left with the Voxter AOL is getting the secondary market to embrace AOLs and buy these properties as investors the way Fannie will buy it. And so you've got aggregators out there, wholesalers, and they buy from originators, as you know, and some of them are not fully up to speed with attorney opinion letters, and they're kind of sitting back and waiting. So you need to have an originator that can originate for Fannie or has an investor that will buy these loans that are insured by AOL. I have originators, so if you want to take advantage of something, take advantage of AOLs. I'm not involved other than referring business to originators. I don't gain anything from that. But I can certainly refer to some who already have these channels in place, and they could take the buyer, get the financing in place, and we can go straight to AOL. Now, the title agency right now in Florida, Voxter Settlement Services out of Tampa, closes all over the state of Florida, actually all over the country. It's the only title agency that is doing Voxter AOL, of course. Mm-hmm. Now, we probably will license some others in the future to do it. But right now, it's Voxter Settlement Services. So I just want to make that clear that you got to have a right mortgage broker. Yeah, lender, mortgage broker, mortgage originator, and you got to bring the closer to Voxter Settlement Services. And I will handle for you. I'm not the processor, but I will give you that concierge service. Send me your contract. I'll do it all wrong for you. Make it really simple.
That's a nice summary and overview of the program. And if anyone has any questions, I've got Robert's information down below. We'll put it into the descriptions as well. It's like anything. It takes time to get ramped up and get used to. Just like you said, original title insurance wasn't something that everybody used. And the changes coming to me, I'm always looking for a way to help my clients and find a solution, because I've been in those situations, just like I described, where things are tight. You're in a multiple offer situation. And we've done it before where we've offered to pay the seller's closing costs. Well, now, one of the things on a standard as is contract is as the buyer, if I pick the title company and agree to pay for that, then I get to choose who I use for title. So now I can look at it and say, okay, the seller may be looking at it as, I'm saving him $4,000 or $5,000, but in reality, it's only maybe costing me $800 to $900 for that. So I'm not only helping myself, but I'm helping the seller as well, and that opens up an opportunity to put you ahead in that competitive situation. You look at it, and that's the first thing I do is look at different ways I can use it to provide a solution for my clients, and I think it truly can provide some really good solutions overall. And if Fannie Mae's, I think we originally started talking maybe back in September, and to see Fannie Mae come out in December and expand their program gives me a lot more reassurance as a realtor that, hey, if Fannie Mae says it's okay and they're expanding it, I'm good with that, because they've done their due diligence. So, Rob, thank you so much for joining us today. It was an absolute pleasure.
Mark,
and again, if you have any questions,
call me.
Yeah.
Yep. Call me. I can show you how to take advantage of this if you're representing the buyer, the seller or the seller. If you're a home flipper and you're listening to this is perfect for you, or a real estate investor, it's perfect for you. And of course, regular purchases and refis. So I can help.
Fantastic. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Everyone, take care.
Okay.